Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Lazy Cloud Prep. Today we are going to explore Azure Data Storage. If you talk about I hope everyone knows what is storage, right? It gives you a similar meaning when you come to the cloud. So without wasting much time on this introduction part, let's directly jump into the Azure Data Storage. Before talking about the storage, so we need to talk about the data. So data should be fall under any of these three categories: one is structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. So before getting into the what is structured, semi-structured, unstructured, the point which I need to tell, first we should always understand our data, and then we need to go for picking the right services in Azure. If one wants to just use a storage for archive purpose, then it is a different service. If one want to use storage for analysis purpose, then it's a different service. If one wants to use a service for OLTP purpose, then it's a different service. So first and foremost, we should be aware of our data, what type of data we are going to play around. So coming back to our structured, semi-structured, and semi-structured. First, structured. I hope everyone knows what is structured. It's similar to a SQL database. Not only a SQL database, it's basically consists of a well-defined schema. So if any data fits into the well-defined schema, then we will call that data as a structured data. So coming to a semi-structured data, it is not fits into a one defined schema, but it's a little bit human readable. So if you take a example, key value pair is one example, and if you take a graph, then node and edges, we will represent the data in node and edges. So if you take a document, it's a JSON document, obviously, and it's similar to a NoSQL, not only SQL. So in Azure services, if we take Azure services, we can utilize the Cosmos DB for implementing the NoSQL databases and even for big data analytics, right? And the popular one is today YAML. I think it's a popular one. It's booming, one. So where we can, it's much more human readable and much more even simpler to understand by seeing the code itself. It is also easy to write. It is also easy for to write a code in YAML. And coming to unstructured, so as a name implies, there is no structure followed. For example, photo, video, file, anything. There is no structure followed in for any data. So these are the three types of data category. And in this session, we are going to focus on only the Azure Blob. So we will go one by one. Today we will take Azure Blob, and we will explore what and all we can do with Azure Blob. Okay. And these are all the services provided by the Azure. We can go for Azure Elasticsearch, we can go for Azure, we can use Azure tables, we can use Azure files, we can also use Azure queues. I hope everyone knows what is queues and all, right? And we can use so these are all the things we can go for. I think this is extra replicate. Okay. Forget about this. So today we are going to focus on Azure Blob. Okay, so coming to Azure Blob and ADLS Gen 2. So first we will see what is Azure Blob, and then we will see what is ADLS Gen 2. So most probably first we should understand why we are using Azure Blob. So Blob is nothing but binary large objects. We can store a text and also a binary data into a storage. If anyone wants to store these kind of data, then of course they can go for Azure Blob storage, and it is well suited for storing the unstructured data. We can store a number of files which is having a no structured, and maybe we can say that it is not very much suited for well defined schemas or relational model database relational model data. And also if you want to take Azure Blob as a storage, then you should be aware of these kind of things we can store in Azure Blob. Right, first, if you want to store any analysis data in the sense, if you want to store data that will be utilized for analysis purpose, so then you can go for and store analysis data. Then next thing is document. Any document you can store it like a JSON document, right? So you can store any type of documents. And next thing is, then you can store a file for a distributed access. You can store file, at a one place, and you can, utilize it in a distributed manner. And you can also store a streaming audio video files, everything you can store inside a blob. And the most most of the industry using a blobs to store the log files. So for any application, because day by day log will, generated by the systems, right? So blob is the cheapest solution, where we can n number of stores, n number of files, sorry, n number of files. So that's why people mostly use this Azure blob storage for storing the log files. So coming to a next step, so you can also store a backup data and are also archive data. So these are all the scenarios, you can go for Azure blob storage. And coming to access, so how I can access my files and how can access other storage. So you can access by using as usual HTTP or HTTPS. You can access by using these protocols. And coming to ADLS Gen 2, I will explain more about ADLS Gen 2 when coming to in a future session. But as of now, as a beginner to the Azure storage, first, ADLS Gen 2 is also a storage which is derived from which is a child of Azure Blob Storage. The ADLS Gen 2 have one more interesting feature. It's called hierarchical namespace. So basically, that if you want to use a if you want to pick a storage for a big data analytics solution, then of course you should not go for Azure blob storage. You should go for ADLS Gen 2. So that's why ADLS Gen 2, the different main difference between these two, Azure blob and ADLS Gen 2, is nothing but ADLS Gen 2 have a hierarchical namespace enabled. That's the main difference. So what is hierarchical namespace? Like a hierarchical namespace is nothing but it's a kind of a folder, sub and subfolders and files. You can, in a normal, if you take a laptop, if you take our computer, so in a C drive, we have one folder. Under one folder, we are saving another folder. Under another folder, we are saving another folder, and at last we will place a file. Right? The arrangements of for storing a file. So these arrangements we can do it in a ADLS Gen 2. So basically, the partition concepts and all will come in ADLS Gen 2 that we will be seeing a little later. And coming to our resources. So basically, if you see Azure Blob, or ADLS Gen 2, so first we should be creating a storage account, and next we should be creating a container, and at last we should be placing a file or creating a file. So basically, blob represents the file. Okay, binary large objects. It is a file, or it is maybe anything. Yeah, okay. And we need so this is how the endpoint look like. Suppose you are placing a file. If you want to access that file, this is how the endpoint looks like. This is how first the storage account name will come. So whatever the storage account name you are created, you should be having that name in this placeholder. And blob.core.windows.net. So coming to a tier. So basically, we do have a two type of tier. One is standard and another one is premium. So we should be knowing our workloads. So basically, how much if you are suppose take a use case. If I want to store data, so in which frequency I'll be updating a data, in which frequency I'll be creating a data, and in each frequency I'll be deleting the data. So these kind of things we should be aware, and then based on that we should be go for a tier. Either it for a standard, if you take a standard, it we will call as a general purpose. Basically, most of the scenarios, will be covered under a standard tier. Okay, so you can utilize the blob, you can utilize the files, you can utilize the queues, you can utilize tables. So everything you can utilize under a standard tier, and it will be recommended for most use cases. Suppose when I'll go for a premium, suppose my workload, okay, suppose my workload basically, if you take a log files, if I want to store a log files, okay, in my storage account. So if you take a log file, the scenario is I'll be appending a logs day by day. I'll be appending a logs, right? So if you take a live streaming, okay, streaming data, I want to have a log for streaming data, right? Think about per day how much logs I'll be getting. Okay, so likewise, it depends upon the scenario. If you take a log files, it is a append scenario. Okay, I'll not be deleting, I'll not be creating anything. I'll be appending a data day by day. I'll be appending, okay, on a day by day basis. So if that is a scenario, I'll go for a premium. Okay, so if you take a premium, so basically read and write is much faster compared to a standard. So read and write is much faster, and also you can also retrieve the data in a faster rate. That is the difference between the premium and the standard. Okay, there are a few types under the premium. One is we will call as a blob. Okay, another one we will call as a append blob, and third one we will call as a page blob. So everything is blob. Okay, so first one is blob. The concept of storing a data is different between these types. In a blob, I'll be that a set of data will be composed of blocks. If, suppose say that you are residing in a okay, a gated community, okay, where we have a 10 blocks of flats. Okay, a block, B block, C block, C block, D block, E block, like a ten types of blocks. Inside a block, you have a number of 100 houses. Inside a B block, you have 100 houses. Inside a C block, you have 150 houses. Inside a D block, you have a number of houses. So this is a kind of setup, where we can relate it with a blob. Okay, everything can be composed of blocks, and each thing will be assigned with a block ID. Okay, each will be represented with a block ID. So A block will assigned with a one block ID. B block one block ID, C block one block ID. Like that, we will be assigning, identifying with a block ID. So if you go for append blob, so basically, as I said, the update, we can able to add it. We cannot able to update it, or we cannot able to delete it. We can able to add it. So such a type of blob is append blob. So if you go for a page blob, it's similar to the disk in Azure Virtual Machine. So suppose in our machine itself, if you take, we do have a hard disk, right? Nowadays people are using a SSD, right? It's a SSD is a similar kind of a page blob, like, okay, basically it provides you fastest rate of IOPS, like read and write. It provides a fastest rate of read and write with a low latency. Okay, so that's the beauty of a page blob. So the scenario which you need to go for a page blob is, if I want to randomly read and write, okay, inside the data, then I'll go for a page blob. Okay, if I want to append the data, I'll go for append blob. If I want to data to be segregated as a blocks, okay, I'll go for a blob. And so excluding this, I don't want these kind of specific scenarios in my business. I don't have any specific scenarios in my business. I'll be using storage for my general purpose. Means you can go for a standard. So that's a main difference between the standard and the premium. So basically, if you, it's like a standard is like a general doctor, premium is like a specialist. Okay, they can, even more specialist on handling the data, handling the blobs. So that's a difference between the standard and the premium. So if you come to blob, as I said, where you can store a text or binary data. Append blob similar to a blob, but it is optimized for append operation. That is what I is specialist in append operation. Page blob, it's similar to a disk in Azure VMs. If you want to do a um, random read and write, then you can go for a page blob. And there are few restrictions inside a storage account. So while creating a container and a blob, so for coming to a first you need to create a storage account, and then need to create a container, and then at last you need to create a blob. So while creating a container, the name of the container should be between 3 and 64 longs, and also it should not start with any special characters, and it should not have any consecutive dashes also. So coming to a blob, it's the name of the blob should be between 1024 characters, and of course you should be very careful here. It is a case sensitive. The name of the blob is a case sensitive, and also a segments, we can go up to 254 segments. Segments is nothing but like a folder segregation, like under A folder, B is there, under B folder C is there, slash 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 slash, like a path in our machines, that's a called as segments. We can go up to till 254 segments, and that should not be okay, any segments ends with a dot. Okay, no path segment should be end with a dot. Yes. So I hope now it's time to see in a practical way. So where I'll go to, so this is my Azure portal. So where you can go for a storage account. You can type a storage account. So I'll click here. So I don't have any storage account created so far. Now I'm going to create it. Okay, so my scenario here is I don't want any specialized operation on blobs. Of course I'll be go for a then I'll be go for a standard. Correct? It's a general purpose storage. Okay. So first you need to, as I said, for each and every service we should be selecting a subscription, and we should be selecting a resource group accordingly. And coming to a storage account, so the name of the storage account is unique across the globe. So I'll be AG Cloud Trip Storage. So it's always good to create in a lowercase region. As I said, the region is also very important when you're creating a storage account, because the access, when you come to accessibility, if your customer is in the West US and you are accessing the East US storage, then you will feel some lags during your accessing your data. So it's better to create a closely related regions according to your customers. So coming to a performance state, this is where the important part. So you need to know about this performance. Okay, basically I'll go for a standard performance. If I go for a premium performance, see, we have seen what is blob, what is a page blob, and file share is nothing but it is a file share is nothing but it's like a normal file storage. So basically it will be very suitable for very high performance application. Okay, high performance applications, and also if you want to scale, okay, depends upon your need, then you can go for this file share. So basically, the blob, as I said, it is best suited for if you want a high transaction rate. I forgot to say this. If you come to a blob, it's having a high transaction rate or a low storage latency. Okay, high transaction rate in the sense read and writes will happen in a no very fast manner. Okay, in a low latency. Okay, and coming to a page blob, as I said, like if you want to do a random read and write, then you can go for a page blob. So as of now, I will go for a standard. Okay, and I'll go to advanced tab. So this will be I'll be covering in a next session. Okay, this redundancy is a little bit big, a little bit important topic. Okay, I'll be covering clear on my upcoming session. Go to, as of now, go to advanced. Okay, and if you see by Azure by default, it will encrypt everything, okay, inside a storage. Whatever you are storing, inside a storage, Azure blob storage, it automatically it will encrypt it by rest. Okay, and you'll go for next. And this is how the network access, I hope you all know. So how if I want to restrict any IPs, if I want to no if I want to bring Azure storage under my VNet, so you can do that. The data protection. Okay, this is how, under a data protection you can see all options related to data retention policies. So how many days I want to keep my soft deleted data. Okay, basically here if you delete, Azure will keep the deleted data for some days. So that configuration you can able to give here. Okay, so that's what we are going to show, that's what we are going to give here. Configuration by default is 777 days. 7 days it will retain for deleted data. It's like a recycle bin, that's it, nothing but. So encryption by default, Microsoft provides their encryption. They are managing the keys for encryption. So it's good to go with the Microsoft manager keys. In coming to some use cases, so few business adopt for their own keys, like as a customer manager keys. You can able, I think while creating a ADF, you may have we may have seen this, right? Customer manager keys and Microsoft manager keys. So customer, if you go for a customer manager keys, then of course you will be managing the keys. So if you go for a Microsoft manager keys, they'll be automatically taking care all these encryption types. And so key enable key support for customer management. So basically these are all the two types. So by default everything is selected for every like a for a blob, files, queues, tables, for everything. Everything will come under the this Microsoft customer manager. Okay, customer manager keys or Microsoft manager. Everything. Suppose if I want to adopt it only for blob and files, then I'll go for this option. It's always good to go by giving all by taking all the service types. And this is where the tag comes. I'll be providing the tag Azure Storage account created for the. If you see, you are going to assign these tags for all these resources. And coming to a review, that's it. Now it's doing some validation. Okay, let it do a validation. There is no validation error. I can go ahead and create it. Also, this is how you need to create a storage account. So, main part of creating a storage account, the you need to choose the performance tier, standard or a premium, and also you need to choose a redundancy. Coming to a storage, redundancy is important. So as of now, I went for a GRS, but I'll go for a LRS, okay, because I'm creating this storage for my local use only. Okay, so that's why LRS. Basically, according to this redundancy model, they will charge you. Okay, so by default, if you are practicing, go for LRS. LRS is recommended. Next advanced. Okay, that's it. So next you can go ahead and create it. I'll be creating. It won't take that much time for creating. Yes, just want to. So meanwhile, I just want to discuss with you like what are all the key factors of Azure Blob Storage. First one, we are using Azure Blob Storage for its durability. Azure Blob Storage is very much durable. So basically, yeah, durable in the sense like if any disaster management, if anything will happen, still your data will remain unaffected. So and next one is it is highly available. That is what we are covering under the redundancy. Okay, so if you see here, I've choose a lowest redundancy level, LRS. So basically, redundancy is nothing but a it will take a copy of data according to the redundancy module. Okay, if any disaster occurs, okay, your data should be available like that. And it is a scalable. So based on the performance or a workload, you can scale at any time. Okay. And third one is managed. Azure is automatically managing the most of the service they are providing it. So Azure Blob also, Azure Storage also, they are managing it. Managing in the sense they any updation or any features they are introducing. So they will take care of that infra parts, everything. And coming to a secure, so by default, Azure Storage is encrypted at rest also. So whatever blobs you are storing, it automatically encrypted at rest. And while transfer also, it will be encrypting and decrypting. It automatically doing the things. That's the beauty of Azure Storage. And yeah, it has created. Go to resources. So here we go. So this is how my storage account is created. First step, I need to create my storage account. I've created my storage account. My storage account comes under the standard tier, and it comes under the replication models LRS, and is the account kind is storage v2 purpose v2. So you remember general purpose v2. Okay, so we have selected by default standard and general purpose v2. Okay, and coming to here, this is not a ADLS Chin2. We didn't enable the hierarchical names. See, this is the first properties it is showing. If you see this property, it is if it is disabled, then it is Azure Blob Storage. If it is enabled, then it is a ADLS Chin2. Okay, and uh, yes, so this is the important part. Okay, data storage part. So container, file share, queue, and tables. These are all the things we can play around. So as the first thing, I'll be go with the container. So once you created a storage account, then next step, what you need to do, you need to create a container plus container. So I'll be creating my source. This is my source container. Okay, here you can give an access level. So basically, we also manage this container level access and also storage level access. I'll be showing in an upcoming session. So here, as of now, I'll be giving the container anonymous access. So I'm not restricting any. I'm not restricting. It's like a public endpoint or a publicly. Okay, anyone can access this container inside my Azure AD. Advanced created. So by default, that encryption type is managed by Microsoft. We are not managing that encryption type, so no need to select that encryption type. So my container is created. Once my container is created, you can go inside that one. Okay. So here you can place your blobs. So what I'll do, I will upload a simple thing. Upload blob. So here you can also drag and drop downloads. Let's see. Okay, I'll put this image okay inside my blob. As I said, images, videos, files, sorry, image, videos, photos, everything is unstructured. Okay, I'll be placing this image and I'll be uploading it. I can upload anything here. Okay, see the image is uploaded. If you click here, you will be getting a lot more metadata about this particular image. If we see this is the URL of this image. For each and every blob or every file you are creating inside that one, it will be getting one particular or dedicated URL. If you see for this blob, so this is a URL. By using this URL, I can access this blob. That is what Azure is seeing. We put here, see, this is the image I have stored inside the blob. So this is storing for me. Okay. So version, so automatically it will maintain the version. Okay. So as of now, so only one version we are having. If you the point which you are creating a snapshot, it will so you will get notified. I created one snapshot. Okay. So now one I have created a one snapshot. I hope everyone knows what is snapshot, right? So at a particular moment of time, I'll be taking a copy of that data. Okay. If you refresh here, show deleted version. One second. I think I need to enable a version here. Okay, then I think it will start show here. Edit. I can edit the data. Okay. What I'll do, I'll go ahead and enable a version control. Okay. Version. I'll go versioning. You can click here. This is a enable version for a blobs. This is how you need to enable a version for a blobs. Keep all version. Okay. I'm saving it here. And also I'll be enabling a blob feed. I'll explain you what is a blob change feed. Okay, as of now I'll be enabling, and I've enabled the versioning of a blob, and also I've enabled the blob change feed. So what I'll do, I'll go again to the my container blob change feed. See, it automatically created the blob change feed. So whatever the changes you are doing inside the blob, it will store here. Okay, so again I'm going to edit something. Okay, again I'm creating a snapshot. Let's see. See, the version came, right? So this is how you need to enable a version of your blob. Okay. So as of now, the access tier is hot. So I'll be explaining access tier in upcoming session. Okay. Upcoming session. So blob type, I think we know, right? We went for a standard general purpose tutor blob. By default, a blob is selected. Okay. If I go and create another snapshot, now it has. This is how the version of a blob is maintained. Okay, so you can also access this version at any time. This is a copy of this is a URL for this version. Okay, by using this URL, you can view this data at any time. So basically, as of now, it is an image. Okay, we didn't edited anything. But if you go to a file and if you edit it, you'll be have a notable different. So this is how you will be creating a snapshot. This is how the version of a blob is maintained. Okay. And SaaS is a big topic. I'll be talking about the SaaS and the access control. Okay, and I'll be talking about the access keys. Access keys is very important. Shared access signature is also very important. These two is very important. I'll be covering in next session.